In the shadows of unanswered questions, a mysterious story is beginning to shake the very foundations of the British monarchy. This isn't just about tradition or ceremony, it's a matter of legacy of truth. The critical question emerges: is the truth about Prince William's lineage, the heir to the throne, really what the public has always believed? As the curtains slowly draw back, everything starts to look different, and the monarchy's deepest secrets begin to fade beneath the light of truth. Amid growing pressure from the media and the public, the silence surrounding the palace is no longer a shield. It has become a burden almost too heavy to bear. Is Prince William protecting a secret to safeguard the kingdom, or hiding a truth that could shake the very foundation of the monarchy he is destined to lead? The story remains unfinished, and that question still awaits an answer, perhaps from you. If you found this story intriguing, leave a comment with the number 1, if not comment 0. Don't forget to hit like, share the video, and let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss another captivating story. Now let's dive right in and begin this incredible journey. The sentence that shook the world, spoken by Prince William, was never made public. It was hidden deep within the royal archives, kept in silence for decades, and believed to be lost to time. But now, nearly 40 years later, those words have returned like a ghost, haunting the halls of Buckingham Palace and casting a chill that refuses to fade. A handwritten letter by King Charles, written in the mid-1980s, has surfaced. Within it lies a truth, both fragile and powerful, whispered through the most secure channels of the monarchy, a truth that could change everything we thought we knew. That simple yet profound sentence said it all. He would never belong to her. Not because of what happened later, but because from the very beginning he never did. Those 7 words have the power to rewrite everything the world once believed about Prince William, the heir to the throne, the golden boy of the House of Windsor, the symbol of duty and royal legacy. The truth, no matter how painful, must be faced, because only through truth can we find freedom and peace within ourselves. While truth can hurt, it is in acceptance that we grow stronger, clearer, and more grounded. History and truth always find a way to return quietly, but insistently demanding our courage, not our silence. And sometimes the shortest phrases carry the weight to reshape entire destinies, reminding us that even within the grandeur of royalty, the human heart remains the most fragile and complex story of all. Historians have meticulously examined the paper, the ink, and even the handwriting, determining that the letter was written sometime between late 1984 and early 1986, when Prince William was still a toddler. It was a dark period, marked by escalating tensions in the marriage between Charles and Diana. While the world watched the glamour of royal tours and the iconic balcony waves behind the scenes, the cracks had already begun to show. This month marks the 20th anniversary of Princess Diana's passing. She was only 20 years old when she married Prince Charles. According to insiders, this letter was not a complaint, nor a fleeting thought written in a moment of emotion. It was a deliberately crafted message written during a time of deep personal turmoil and growing public scrutiny. Sources believe the letter was sent to a spiritual advisor, someone within the Church of England who had earned Charles's deepest trust. Others speculate it may have gone to a close family friend, perhaps someone who had stood by Charles since his youth. Whoever the recipient was, they received a message so unexpected, so unfit for public knowledge, that it could never be spoken aloud. This very statement has sparked a cascade of questions, chief among them. Who was she, the woman Prince Charles claimed Prince William would never truly belong to? Many might assume he was referring to Princess Diana, yet royal historians aren't so convinced. They point out that the tone of the letter holds no hostility toward Diana. Instead, it carries a restrained sorrow, as if Charles were speaking about something or someone entirely different. Could the woman in question have been a surrogate, a shadowy figure whose existence was carefully erased from royal records? Or was this a veiled confession pointing to a woman wholly outside the royal narrative? We thought we knew someone who may have carried William while Diana played the role of symbolic mother to the public. The timing, too, raises eyebrows. This letter wasn't written during the chaotic 1990s when scandals rocked the palace and headlines exploded with royal tragedies. No, this letter was penned before the storm in the mid-1980s when everything still appeared calm. Why? Why would Charles carry such a secret during a time of supposed peace? A former palace aide described the letter as an emotionally measured act, not a spontaneous confession, but something deeply considered and carefully weighed. That single, simple sentence has led historians to reassess the timeline, to question the roles within the family, and to dig deeper into what the public has never been told. As the world watches Prince William, a calm, resilient figure trained to lead it, is this discovery that may reveal the fragility behind the face of a future king. That was when the polished image of Prince William began to crack, becoming an open royal secret hidden in plain sight. For years, whispers clung to the palace walls. Rumors were dismissed as fantasy, idle speculation, unfit for a crown guarded so fiercely. And yet now, with the chilling handwritten words of King Charles, he will never belong to her. Not quite because from the very beginning he never did those whispers grow louder, sharper, and impossible to ignore. A theory once considered too outrageous to entertain is now forcing a second look. But this time it's not about Prince Harry. This time, the spotlight shifts to Prince William, and the story takes a darker, more unsettling turn. In the early 1980s, long before the public ever saw the cracks in Charles and Diana's fairy tale romance, something unusual was already unfolding. Diana had been hospitalized several times under vague medical pretenses. At the time, the explanation offered was stress or private health concerns. But behind the palace walls, insiders tell a very different story. Quiet discussions about fertility, discreet meetings between doctors, royal aides, and senior advisors. If the marriage was strained as many current palace staff now claim and the pressure to produce a healthy heir was mounting, would the royal machinery intervene? The crown has its motives. It wields influence. Everything is possible except time. If the union between Charles and Diana was more arranged than romantic, then an heir in the public eye wasn't just a hope, it was a necessity. And if natural conception posed a challenge, would the palace dare to consider an alternative? This is precisely when this theory gains traction. What if the surrogate mother wasn't carrying Harry but William? What if Diana was asked not to give birth but simply to raise a child chosen for the future of the monarchy? Seen from this angle, Charles's words carry far more weight than hers. Suddenly, this is no longer a broken love story, but something far deeper. Something buried so carefully that even William himself might be unaware. Yet the signs have always been there, unmistakably so. Diana's love for William was undeniable. Fierce, unconditional, sometimes even overprotective. But now royal experts are asking a heartbreaking question. Was her love for William that of a mother's protective embrace, or that of a woman guarding a child she was asked to claim as her own? In handwritten notes and interviews, Diana often expressed fears that went far beyond the pressure of tabloid scrutiny. In one letter she wrote, "My worries for William have never lessened. I feel the boy is mine, but it still feels incomplete. At the time, those words sounded poetic, but now historians view them through a different lens, conflicted emotions, a simmering sadness, and perhaps a woman carrying a truth too heavy to speak aloud. A former nanny once shared that Diana never took her eyes off William, even during the long, quiet nights in the palace. It was as if she was holding on to the boy for dear life. The woman said Diana was afraid of something, but we may never truly know what Diana was protecting William from, whether it was the paparazzi and public scrutiny or a deeper truth she was forced to live with. And if this is true, if William was not Diana's biological child, but rather a child she was chosen to raise, what does that say about the legacy we thought we understood? What does this say about the woman we thought we knew? Because if Diana took this secret to her grave, then what lies beneath it could change everything we believed about the future king. The untold truths about the birth of Prince William, could this alter everything we once trusted about Diana and the crown? Stay tuned as this story unfolds. DNA has shaken the future king to his core. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep exploring, don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel, so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. Now let's dive back into the story. Prince William was born on June 21, 1982, under the watchful eyes of the entire royal family. Good morning, sir. Good morning. How is she? She's doing very well, thank you. She looks beautiful, but we were once adorable babies too. To the public, Charles and Diana remained the smiling couple, fulfilling their roles as modern parents under the world's gaze. Yet behind those perfect moments, the royal fairy tale was beginning to crack. And now, decades later, royal historians are beginning to revisit that timeline, not with romance, but with suspicion. In early 1982, insiders at the palace began noticing small yet strange inconsistencies. Diana had a quiet hospital visit just months before William was born, completely unreported by the press with no official explanation. The palace aides only mentioned she was feeling unwell, offering no further details. And in the royal world, when silence replaces transparency, it often means something is being hidden. The letter, believed to have been written in the mid-1980s, but clearly referring to events just before or around William's birth, now raises more questions than answers. If Diana wasn't ill, could there have been another reason? Was a secret decision made, one the public was never meant to know? This is where a new layer of the story begins to unfold. Some royal researchers suggest that the one in question isn't the father, but the mother. Not because Diana was absent, unloved, or uncaring, but because she might have had no biological connection at all. The theory may sound extreme, but what if the truth was never meant to be extreme, just deeply buried? The details surrounding William's birth have always been tightly controlled. Yet now the royal archives from 1981 to 1983 are reportedly undergoing a quiet review. A former royal secretary recently hinted that some documents may have been backdated or even completely replaced. Staff at the palace say that protocol is always followed unless, of course, the protocol itself is quietly rewritten. And that is precisely the clue that has sparked renewed whispers about a carefully chosen royal surrogate managed quietly and never publicly acknowledged. DNA has now cast a shadow over everything. For years, rumors have circulated that as Prince William entered adulthood, he began asking private questions about his bloodline, his origins, and the silences that were never meant to be confronted. Some sources suggest that a private DNA test may have been conducted around 2001, far from royal laboratories at a location never disclosed. According to a former royal security officer, the results were sent in a sealed envelope to Clarence's house. What happened afterward remains unknown. Did Charles open it? Did William ever see what was inside, or was it hidden away like so many other secrets to protect not only the monarchy, but also William's personal identity? If the results proved Charles was the father, but Diana was not the mother, then every photo, every memory, and every family tradition would take on a new meaning. Not a lie, but a carefully arranged version of the truth. And perhaps that's why the letter was written, not to expose, but to wrestle with guilt. A quiet confession penned in ink by a father who may have carried that truth too heavily for too long. So how did Charles manage to conceal a truth so heavy it haunted him for decades? Stay tuned. This changes everything. A secret Charles could never voice aloud. King Charles has long projected a calm, reserved image before the public, measured words, emotions never spilling beyond the royal bounds. But now that image is starting to crack. A private letter penned sometime in the mid-1980s has surfaced. Its tone is gentle, its meaning profound. Just one line in that letter might be the closest we've ever come to hearing Charles speak without filters or formalities. He will never belong to her. Not really, because from the very beginning, he never did. At first it sounds cold, yet read it again. Not out of suspicion, but out of sorrow. What if it wasn't about pain, but a confession? What if behind the palace doors, Charles was struggling to voice a truth too heavy to bear? This time, the mystery doesn't revolve around Prince Harry, but Prince William, the heir, the future king, the seemingly perfect figure for the role. Yet even perfection can be a mask. Some now believe that beneath the carefully controlled relationship between Charles and William lies a deeper truth, one the king may have carried since the day William was born in June 1982. Royal observers often note that the dynamic between Charles and William appears formal, almost scripted. While the whole world witnessed affectionate gestures and official portraits, those behind the palace walls whispered about emotional voids. A former palace staff member said, "Charles seemed present, but reserved, as if he was fulfilling the role of a father rather than truly living it." Could that distance stem not from a lack of love, but from confusion, even guilt? If Charles knew or suspected that Diana had no biological connection to William, that she might have been asked to raise him as her own, then every hug, every shared moment in public would be carrying within him a shadow. The single sentence in that letter is not an accusation, it is a sorrow written in ink, the anguish of a father cloaked in royal language. And then there is William himself. From a young age, he stood out not just because of his status, but because of something less obvious. Teachers described him as more serious than his years. Staff noticed William often questioned his duties, his role, and why things had to be the way they were. A former nanny recalled that William was always observing, always trying to understand things others couldn't see. As he grew older, his questions deepened. While Harry acted out and rebelled, William withdrew, silent, calm, and constantly searching. He was searching for something that perhaps no one around him dared to explain. Those closest to him say he became even more withdrawn after Diana's death in 1997. Her loss was not just the death of a mother, it might have been the final lock on a door for which he never had the key. If she wasn't his biological mother and somehow he sensed this deep within his heart, then the pain he carried was more than grief. How profoundly isolating it must be to spend a lifetime sensing that something isn't quite right without ever knowing why. And now, as this letter comes to light and Buckingham Palace braces for the fallout, the silence surrounding William's past begins to feel less like tradition and more like fear. And perhaps Prince William's silence isn't rooted in duty, but in something far more human fear. The truth may finally be coming to the surface. The storm of silence around the crown. The palace walls have never felt so fragile. With the letter exposed and timelines unraveling under scrutiny, silence has become Buckingham Palace's only remaining strategy. But this silence is anything but peaceful. It's heavy with anxiety. Tense meetings have now replaced family dinners, and behind every closed door a question lingers. How much longer can the truth be kept buried? Legal teams are now working around the clock. Sources confirm that a private crisis management unit previously activated during the fallout from Meghan and Harry's Oprah interview has quietly been reassembled. Their new mission to contain leaks, bury the truth, and protect the legacy of the royal family at all costs. But this is no longer just about a single letter. The real issue is what else might exist. Letters, notes, or personal confessions, not only written by King Charles but possibly sent to Princess Diana or even Prince William himself. And now a quiet fear is growing behind the palace's gilded doors. Because just one more document slipping into the public's hands could do more than tarnish reputations, it could shake the very foundations of the monarchy. It could upend everything titles the line of succession and the public's trust. The monarchy is facing a reckoning it was never prepared for. Legal advisors are reportedly re-examining the limits of the Official Secrets Act, seeking ways to legally bury the past. But outside the United Kingdom, foreign journalists and media outlets are not bound by the same rules. The truth is slowly unraveling bit by bit, and with every whisper the power of the monarchy weakens. But at the center of it all, steadfast in public, yet possibly fractured in private, stands Prince William, the future king, the steady hand of the realm. Now the one man caught between preserving tradition and facing the possibility that his entire story may have been shaped by silence. And now the question echoes louder than ever. Did William know? Insiders believe he did. When William came of age, likely around the year 2000, just after his 18th birthday, Charles may have sat down with him privately, far from royal aids and formalities, and shared more than just fatherly advice about duty. One source described it as a profound conversation, the kind that changes a young man forever. Those closest to William noticed the change. He became more guarded, more careful with his words, less emotionally expressive, and increasingly committed to royal protocol, even when it came at a personal cost. Was that the moment the truth was passed on? For someone like William, raised in the spotlight and taught to put the institution above himself, the weight of that knowledge must have been unbearable. Every decision, every handshake, every camera flash had to be calculated. And if he had to choose between protecting his brother's right to know and preserving the image of the monarchy he was born to uphold, it seems that choice was made long ago. But that silence is no longer without consequence. William's smile has always set the tone. This wedding will surely be beautiful. While William maintains his composure at royal ceremonies, shaking hands, cutting ribbons, and delivering speeches, the questions continue to mount. His silence is no longer seen as a strength. It's beginning to resemble complicity. If he knows the truth about his own origins or about the family, and has remained silent not just to the world but to Harry, then the betrayal is no longer just royal. It's deeply personal. And in Montecito, California, where Prince Harry now lives with Meghan, the response couldn't be more different. There is no silence, no strained smiles, only a growing demand for answers. Sources close to the Sussexes say Meghan is urging Harry to pursue the truth more fully than ever, no matter what stands in the way. And what if Meghan's pursuit of the truth uncovers a secret that even William can no longer outrun? Be patient. The Queen, the gatekeeper, and the truth about William. As the quiet storm surrounding Prince William steadily gains strength, one name continues to linger just beyond the curtain. If the crown of St. Edward was worn, only once it was by Queen Elizabeth II. For over 7 decades, she was the final authority in royal matters, the guardian of tradition, the keeper of secrets. No one dared to question her. And now, as questions mount about a hidden truth from William's early life, the late Queen's silence no longer seems neutral. It begins to look like a strategy. Those close to the Queen say she witnessed everything. Every record, every medical file, every sealed letter was kept among family members. If there was a private document from Charles, one implying William's origins, it almost certainly passed across her desk. She must have known. Yet nothing was ever publicly spoken about. No edits, no denials, just a calm, steely wall forged over time. Some within the royal circle now believe she was not ignoring the matter. She handled it quietly, carefully, behind closed doors. A former aide remarked, "She didn't react outwardly, she planned." Could her sudden push for family reconciliation in her final years have been more than just an emotional closure? In 2022, during her final in-person meeting with William at Windsor, observers described the moment as tender and filled with unspoken emotions. But in hindsight, some now wonder if that encounter was her way of conveying the truth to the one man destined to inherit not only the crown, but also its shadows. If she knew and kept it secret, then William inherited more than just the throne. He inherited a secret greater than the crown itself, a truth not tied to scandal, but to identity. For a monarchy built on bloodline, legacy, and public perception, that singular truth might be the thread woven through everything William was raised to protect. And what if William not only inherits the throne, but also a secret that could destroy everything it stands for? Stay tuned. The question of lineage may haunt William forever. For Prince William, everything has always pointed toward a single path, the throne. The Prince and Princess of Wales have unique sleeping arrangements at Kensington Palace. And from his very first steps at Kensington Palace to his solemn presence at Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022, he has carried his responsibilities quietly and precisely. But beneath the surface of tradition, portraits, and ceremony, a deeper question is beginning to emerge. A question that could shake the very bloodline William was born to represent. What if the truth behind William's birth is not what the public has been told? In the British monarchy, lineage is not just symbolic. It is law. Every royal role, every title, every order of succession is based on proven ancestral origins. And if the questions now revolve not around his brother Harry, but around William himself, the impact would be monumental. William is not just a senior royal, he is the direct heir. If doubts arise about the details of his biological origins, it would not only affect him personally, but could also shake the very foundation of the entire monarchy. Lawmakers are actively considering the potential consequences. A constitutional expert remarked, "The crown is not an individual. It is an institution built on bloodline. If that link is broken even by suspicion, the monarchy will face unprecedented challenges. Suddenly, decisions made in the past seem less like tradition and more like preparation. For example, why has there been such precision in William's public appearances in recent years? Why is so much personal information so tightly controlled, even as public pressure for transparency increased during the Queen's final months? Now, with whispers of sealed documents, quietly reassigned titles, and a final letter reportedly written by Charles before the Queen's passing, some insiders believe a new motive is slowly becoming clearer. Not anger, but restraint. A deliberate silence meant to shield the monarchy from an identity crisis it may never recover from. But what about William's silence? He continues to perform composed, steady, unshaken in public. Yet those who know him say the pressure is mounting. If he knows even just a part of the truth and chooses to remain silent, is that loyalty to the crown, or is it a betrayal of the people who trusted him to lead with honesty? If you found this story intriguing and want to dive deeper into the mysteries surrounding Prince William and the British monarchy, don't forget to like this video to show your support. Share it with friends and anyone fascinated by the dramatic and unexpected twists behind royal life. And most importantly, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any videos in our series uncovering the untold stories and hidden truths of royal families around the world. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.